Hi, I'm Brenda Maier, and we have a guide service called True North Guiding and Outfitters up in the Chequamegon National Forest of Wisconsin, and we do a lot of muskie fishing on rivers. And today I want to just go through some of the safe handling practices with our fish. Muskies are a very important game fish that are kind of revered in the Northwoods, and so we want to make sure that if we're going to fish them, we know how to handle them and take good care of them so they can go on to entertain other anglers in the future. So when I'm on the river, I like to keep my little toolkit with me. Notice that carabiners are to attach it to something in case we would happen to go overboard. It keeps that intact, but also just to keep it up off the floor and in one place, because when the chaos starts, if you get a muskie on, you don't want to be thinking about where your tools are. So this is what I have for tools. If you catch a muskie, the first thing you want to do when you net it is leave the net in the water, take a breath, and then start thinking about what you have to do to remove the hooks if the hooks are still in the fish. One of the things that can happen is if the hooks go down pretty deep, you might have to use a jaw spreaders. Muskies are toothy critters, so sometimes we have to use one of these, and what you do is you go like this and you put it between the upper and lower jaw, and it holds the mouth of the muskie open so that you can get in there as quickly and easily as possible to remove the hooks. So that's the jaw spreaders. There are times when the muskie's still in the net and I can see there's a dangerous situation. This happened to me yesterday. I could see that there was a wire leader going through the muskie's gill, coming out the mouth, and there was a sucker attached. And if that was going to start flopping, or if the muskie would start flopping, that wire would have cut the gills of the muskie and then it would die. So I don't like to do it if I don't have to, but I did use the fish grip on its jaw so that I could keep the head steady so I could get my nippers and cut those wires right away, just to eliminate that really awful situation from happening. So that's grippers that can be used for that. Don't ever want to lift a fish with one, but they can be used to help remove hooks. A long-nosed, needle-nosed pliers is best for removing hooks. There's lots of different tools. For some reason, this one happens to be the favorite. It seems to work for us best. Of course, it's falling apart now, but that's because it gets lots of use. So that's the three main tools that I use for removing the hooks. Now, let's talk a little bit about what happens if we have a situation where we have to cut hooks or wires. Make sure you have a nippers. Knips, what are they called? Nip-X are the best kind. I have this one and it works really good too. So if you have to get the hooks out fast, sometimes it's best just to cut them off of the lure or the bait or the wire, and then you can get in there and remove the hook safely. When you're handling a muskie too, if you want to get a picture or you're picking it up to put it back in the water, it's really important when you put your hands into their gills to make sure it doesn't go into the gills, but just into the plate underneath. You can feel a spot between their jaw and the inside of their gill plate, and you can get your hands in there and you can just hang on really tight to that, and you can usually keep a muskie steady with that. And then what you want to do is just put your other hand under their belly and lift them, so you're lifting them mostly from here to a horizontal position. Get your picture quick. Try and keep your hands out of the picture, tuck your fingers up underneath, and then after you get your picture, then it's time to release that fish. And there's a little controversy on best ways to release a muskie. What we typically do is, judging by how much trauma that fish has been through, if it's had to have hooks removed, we want to make sure that it's good to go before we release it. So what I would typically do is either put it back in the net or over the side of the boat and kind of gauge how it's doing. I first would get a grip on the tail, then let go of the head, and you can kind of watch their gills. And if their gills start to flare a little bit, you know that they're getting their oxygen back, and you can feel their body start to move. So I'm still holding on to the tail. I'm not gripping it like that because that's stressful for the fish. I just kind of have two fingers around it. And if that fish starts to move, just let them go and they'll just go. Sometimes you don't even get over the side of the boat and they take off like a shot. Then you know they're fine. But what you don't want is to see that muskie rolling on its side or rolling over. That means it's not ready to go and it needs some time. In warmer water, in warmer months of the year, it takes a long time. I've sat for a half hour, 45 minutes with a fish just to make sure they're good to go. In the spring and the fall, the colder water, it usually takes a lot less time. But however you do it, make sure that you're confident and you take control of the fish, because the last thing you want to have happen is that fish to fall in the bottom of a boat and flop around. That's really bad for them and it can cause a lot of problems. So take control of that beautiful fish. Make sure you get the hooks removed. Make sure that you give it time to get ready to breathe and swim, and then let it go, and hopefully you can see it another day.